Hey everyone, if you saw my last video on this box, I just showed the contents of what came in. Now that I built some of the models, here are what some of them look like painted up in the book. Now, they look really great painted up in the book, but I'm excited to paint them in my own style. Both the heroes and the hostile models, I'm really looking forward to painting them up. And yes, starting off, we have Brutal Corpse Eater. This guy is an amazing looking model on its own, and I have to say, one of my favorite heroes in the list so far. This guy's an extremely big model, and I definitely would want this guy on one of my teams. Alright, so next up we have Coolithis, the Exiled. Yes, that's how you pronounce it. I googled it myself. I have to say, she does look pretty neat. I do like her stance. It seems like she is pulling the string of the bow. But the one thing I've seen in most models, maybe all models GW has, it's that the models with the bows don't have the string, but some crossbow weapons do have the string. If you have an idea or know why that is, feel free to educate me down in the comments below. Next up on the list, we have Emelda Braskov. This model looks really nice. It's just in a normal pose, nothing too fancy or nothing too dull, so it's honestly just an alright model. Now, this guy is sick looking. It's a dwarf, Dagny Holdenstock. His harpoon, steampunked powered rifle is it's just insane looking at it. If you were to see this in person, you'd probably shit bricks. I would 100% guarantee that you would be shitting bricks. Like, no joke, this thing looks menacing as fuck. Glorio Van Alten III just has this pompous look to him. He's holding his pistol in such a manner that this guy's just like, ooh, look at my pistol. This guy's just another one of my favorite models. There's nothing much I can say about him. And here we have Jelson Darroch, the Van Helsing looking model in the Cursed City box. This guy's yet another one of my favorites. Just the way he has the stick ready on his side. Just absolutely ready to hunt down some vampires, dude. This guy just looks amazing. And lastly, the two remaining models, Octren Glimskry and Cleona Zeitgale, the two mages or sorcerers on the hero side. They look pretty decent, nothing to boast about. But now that we have the hero side done, let's move on to the hostile models. The only reason why I got the box for in the first place. Alright, and next we have Orlok. Wait, I mean Radikar the Wolf. This guy looks so much like the 2024 movie Nosferatu. Dude, it's honestly one for one. Like the way he has his dogs or whatever you want to call them, the wolves, and the fur hat that he has. It's honestly a 1-to-1. I will not call him Count Orlok.
You must bow to it. Crazy style.
Next up, it's Watch Captain Halgrim, the best looking skelly boy out there. It's sad, most of these guys, like most of the hostile models, are gonna be in Legends by next year. It'll never hurt just to have them around, just to keep them in your collection and show off to friends. Now, this guy, the vampire slash wolf monster, it was a pain in the ass to us to put together. The whole Cursed City box is pushed to fit, which means you don't require any glue. But for this guy, I had to use glue for his arms. So when assembling, there are two pegs that stick out on either side of their arms, and those pegs wouldn't sit flush to the arms. So I had to just cut them off and then just glue the arms onto the body, and that was just a whole pain. So if you guys are buying this box, just be aware that sometimes those pegs don't really fit the arm holes and you have to fully glue them on. The Night Guards are next. So they're really cool looking models. Again, it's a shame that they're going to be added in Legends. Honestly, the one that I like the most is the one that has the keys, and then towards the bottom of his base you can see that a little rat or Skaven, you never know, they're everywhere, is taking one of the keys away from the Night Guard. So that's probably one of my favorite models. So honestly, great looking models. Shame that they're going into Legends. Here's the next model. It's going to be the Gravekeeper. This guy just honestly reminds me of a pirate, just by the way he's positioned. It looks like he's just gonna be like he's sailing into battle, and the way he has his hook on the plank, I don't know. This guy just reminds me of a pure like dead zombie looking pirate. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but this guy just reminds me of a pirate. Good looking model though. This model right here is gonna be one of my favorite models just because it has some sort of raccoon looking dog on the side of him. He has a crow on his left shoulder and then a bat hanging upside down on his right shoulder. And honestly, dude, this guy just looks amazing. Again, he reminds me of a pirate creaking up in his ship with like a candle. So, I don't know. Maybe just me. And lastly, we moved on to the last three models, which are the Bloodborns. These three come in some unique poses. We got one hanging off from the side of a pillar. You got one striking the Batman pose. And then we have one kind of lunging towards the opponent, towards the attacker. Now, if you guys are watching this video and wondering why this one is shiny, because I'm a dumbass and I left one of the caps open for the Tamiya glue open and knocked it over, and guess who was in the way? Yep, you guessed it. This model was in the way and it got all over her, so that's why she's looking all shiny. It melted the plastic and I'm pretty upset with what happened. So this is going to conclude the portion of the video where I show off all the models I built. Now it's time for me to go and assemble the rest of these. Well, maybe not today, but I'll get there eventually. But for now, I will be going out and priming them just so I can start working on them. So yeah, I'll see you guys when the whole process of it is done. Alright, so I'm going to be working on these two first models just because they seem like the simplest. I ended up priming them black. I primed the other models gray, or the first two models I will be painting. So yeah, I'll see you guys while I'm painting them. Alright, welcome guys. So as you guys know, I said I was going to start with these two models. They seem like the easiest one to begin with, so why not just start off with these, right? So let's go ahead and get straight into it. Alright, so for the first model, or for both of them, we're going to go ahead and do a dry brush of just pure white. We'll be using Vallejo white. I may have applied a little too much on here, but it's fine. I'm only doing this just to catch the raised areas and to give me an idea of where all the details are gonna go. And for this, we're gonna be doing the same thing. Just go ahead and dry brush some of the raised areas just to get in the details. I will make a disclaimer: I am no professional, nor do I claim to be a professional. This is all for like beginners. I'm a beginner myself. I started painting about a year ago now, and I still don't consider myself a professional or intermediate for that matter. With those two being dry brushed as they are, we can go ahead and start moving on to the base colors for them. Start off with this model right here. Alright, so for this model, we're gonna go ahead and be starting off with the cape that they have. What I'm planning on doing is doing a dark blue undercoat for both the cape and the cloth in the front. And for that, we're gonna be using dark Persian blue from Vallejo. This is honestly my favorite blue to use. Alright, so now that that's dry, we're gonna go ahead and start off with the clothes underneath the armor, which I'm going to be painting just a pure black. We're going to be using matte black from the Army Painter, which is my favorite matte black to use just because of how well it finishes on the model. So we're just going to be coming in this way here with the black. Just darkening up the areas. Alright, so starting off with the armor, we're going to go ahead and base this whole armor in a gunmetal gray, just because the gunmetal gives it a more darker color, and then we'll come back and edge highlight the raised areas with the plate mail metal from the Army Painter. Alright, so now that we have this all based in the gunmetal gray. Let's go ahead and start adding some of the details onto the cape and the front tabard. So what we'll be doing is going to be adding small amount of the Nolan oil to both sides of the tabard and the back of the cloak here. Now in this step as well, you can start adding the Nolan oil to gray armor, just because we have the Nolan oil here, just to give it a more darker look to the gunmetal gray and add a bit more of the shadows in different areas of the model. Alright, so now that we have the Nolan oil all over the model, we're going to go ahead and leave it to dry, and then we're going to come back when it's fully dried. Now that we have all of this dry, we're going to go ahead and finish up with the cape here. And for that, we're going to be using some of the Thunderous Blue as the highlights for the cape. Alright, and as you guys can see here, this is how the finished product of the cape looks like. Like I said, it's nothing too fancy, nothing too good, but this is how I normally do my capes. I did it for one of my Dark Oath Queens for the Slaves to Darkness. I did it in this kind of similar color scheme, but now we'll move on to the leathers. Alright, so now that we have this, hold on, let me, damn helicopter. So now that we have her all based up and ready to paint for the leathers, and for that we're going to be using oak brown for all the leathers, like for her hands right here. I'm going to also be painting up the fur on the eagle on her shoulder, as well as this pouch right here. And then finally we're going to be painting the little holster for her weapon down here as well. First, let me base up the entire bird on her back because it's like a bigger piece. When it comes to painting fur or feathers, I am horrible at it, but here I am still trying to do my best in painting up some models. Sometimes they turn out alright, sometimes they don't, so it all just depends on how well you did. So now that I have with this painted up, the hawk on her shoulder, I am going to be working on the leathers, and for the leathers I'm going to be trying something different. It's going to be a mixture of the oak brown with the matte black, kind of like if you already have it, it's Rhinoxide, which is a super like dark brown. I don't have it, so we're just gonna be mixing up the black and the brown just to make a darker brown. Again, if you already have it, it's brine oxide, but if you don't and you're like me, just mix the brown that you have with like a black, and then just get it until you have this consistency right here. It's gonna be just like a lighter shade of black, but also a darker shade of the brown. So I'm going to be basing this in all the leathers here. Alright, so now that we have all the brown here painted up, all the leathers, let's go ahead and add a bit more detail onto them. We're going to be using some Mournfang brown on the sides as the highlight. It's going to be applied to every single dark brown color that we added, so it's going to be all applied to this right here. Again, it's just going to be a highlight. No need to get crazy with it. Just go around the edges. Make sure to add a tiny amount of just like scratches. And then for the gloves as well, we're going to be adding some of that Mournfang brown onto them as well. let's go ahead and finish all the gold accents on the miniature, and then we should be able to work on just the sword, the head, and a little bit of the eagle, and that should be all. For the gold accents, I like to use Retributor armor. I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like a coppery gold color. That's the one gold I really like from Citadel so far. Sometimes I mix my own gold, which is just it's gunmetal gray from Vallejo, and then greedy gold from Army Painter, just to get a good like dark dirty gold. But we're gonna be using this one for the gold accents on the miniature. If you're curious as to what brushes I'm using, it's nothing too fancy. So for the metallics, I use Royal and Lang Nickel. It's a fairly cheap brush set. You can buy them at either Hobby Lobby, Michael's, like any craft store basically. It's like cheap essential like paint brushes. Like you can get them in a pack of 5 or 10. I got a pack of 5. I got 2 packs of 5. I mostly use those for the metallic paints, just because I don't want to ruin the other paints that I have, or the other brushes that I have. And the other brushes that I have are from Golden Maple. I'm not sponsored by them. Up to you guys if you want to go pick up some Golden Maple brushes too. But honestly, they're pretty good in my opinion. They're honestly pretty good. So I'm just adding all the gold accents to the armor and some of the detailed areas here, like the hilt of the sword, as well as the little accent marker of the Cities of Sigmar emblem that this person has. Alright, so this should do it for the gold accents on the model. Now it's time for me to start on the face of the model, which I am gonna have to remove the sword. So I'll be right back. Alright, so I was able to get the arms removed. Now it's time to paint the face, which for the face I'm gonna be using Kislev flesh, because it's the only kind of flesh that I like to use whenever I'm painting any skin color. Now for the flesh, I like to go for a really thin downed Kislev flesh. Just kind of get it all around the area. Alright, so if you guys can see here, I kind of messed up right in the face here. And what I recommend you do if you did mess up like I did is just leave it to dry and then just come over it again with another layer of the Kislev flesh. While we wait for that to dry, let's go ahead and work on the beak for the hawk here. So I was looking up pictures of the hawks, and they have some pretty interesting colors. So for the beak, it has to be a gray, and for in here it has to be like a yellow. So let's get straight into it. Yellow is never my favorite to paint just because of how hard it is to fully get down. Yeah, I mean honestly we could just leave the beak out as is. It's looking great. I like the yellow. I used the flat yellow from Vallejo, and then we could just leave it. As is. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Okay, now onto the back of the bird here, which I am going to be dry brushing some wraithbone onto the back of the model. Again, nothing too fancy. Just dry brushing the feathers of the hawk. Honestly, that looks pretty decent right there. That looks pretty decent as is, so we're just gonna leave it like that. And we're gonna continue on with the flesh. Alright, so now that we have the flesh all painted up on there, we're gonna go ahead and add some Guilliman flesh into the skin tone. Alright guys, now that we have the gum and flesh tone already set on there, now comes the hard part, is putting the eyes on the model. So let me cut back to when I finished applying the eyes, just because of how concentrated I have to be just to be able to add them. So give me a second guys. Alright guys, so here is the finished product. I went ahead and added some plate mail metal onto the edges. It gives it a small little subtle detail of the armor shining. I went ahead and painted the eye. Not my best looking eye, but again, this is for beginners. I'm a beginner. I don't claim myself to be a intermediate or pro painter. But yeah, this is how the model turned out. Now it's time to go ahead and move on to the next model.